Good evening, and thanks for joining us as we transverse the length and breadth of the nation to bring you the Nigerian story with an extra touch of details. Tonight, new rank followed by frank talk as President Buhari decorates Chief of Army Staff. Stakeholders in the security sector demonstrate moves to terrorize terrorists. In the judiciary, we have a story of efforts to roll away the hurdles in the way of swift dispensation of justice. The blessings of nature's abundance in Benue and the tragedy of decay. Farmers lament the toll of post-harvest losses. In Kano, the farmer and water continue their long life of romance. We have these and other human angle stories. This is News Extra on the NTA. I am Fatima Umarbuba. You're welcome. The Federal Executive Council has approved the medium-term expenditure framework and the fiscal strategy paper for 2020 and 2024. The document, a requirement of Fiscal Responsibility Act, projects 13.98 trillion naira as budget size for the 2022 fiscal year. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed announced this while briefing newsmen after the council's meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari and State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper describes Nigeria's socio-economic developmental objectives and priorities for the next 3 years. The report highlights the key drivers of government revenue and spending plans towards improving the nation's macroeconomic situation and reposition the economy on the path of inclusive, diversified, and sustainable growth.
Key information is that the Nigerian economy recovered from a negative growth of minus 1.8% in 2020 to 2.5% in 2021 and then to 4.2% in 2022. Also, the inflation has moderated from a 19 months high. It's now moderated 2 months now that is coming down to 17.93%. And our foreign reserves stand at 34.2 billion at the end of May, which is a 640 million decline from the previous month.
Consequently, the key macro assumptions approved by the Council show that for the year 2022, there will be a crude oil benchmark price of $57 per barrel, a crude oil production of 1.88 million barrels per day, an exchange rate of 410 naira 15 kobo to $1 as well as an inflation rate of 13%.
What is interesting is that the non-oil GDP continues to grow at 169.69 trillion compared to oil GDP of 14.68 trillion. We have also presented to the federal government the projected revenues for the 2022 to 2024. Specifically for 2022, the revenue that we expect is 6.54 trillion and 2.62 trillion to accrue to the Federation account and VAT pool respectively. And then there will be a net oil and gas revenue available for the Federation account FAC for distribution. It will be 6.51 trillion in 2022. This revenue is projected to increase in 2023 to 9.15 trillion. The total expenditure we had projected and approved by Council is an aggregate expenditure of 13.98 trillion naira. This includes 1.1 trillion naira of government-owned enterprises expenditure, as well as grants and donor-funded projects in the sum of 62.24 billion. This means that this budget is just 3% higher than the 2021 budget in terms of the size of expenditure.
The minister also reported to Council a 5.62 trillion naira budget deficit projected for 2022 as against the 5.60 trillion naira in 2021. This, she explained, represents 3.05% of the estimated GDP, which is slightly above the 3% threshold specified in the Fiscal Responsibility Act.
The FRA empowers Mr. President to exceed the threshold if, in his opinion, the nation faces national security threats, and it is our opinion, and FEC agreed, that we can exceed it. The deficit is going to be financed by both domestic and foreign borrowing in the sum of 4.89 trillion and privatization proceeds of 90.73 billion and drawdowns from existing project-tied loans of 635 billion.
Clearly stated in the report is that the projected debt-to-revenue ratio is 43%, which the minister described as an improvement over those of the preceding years, which stood at 85% in 2020 and 58% in 2019. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And about 113 billion naira has been approved by the Federal Executive Council towards the provision of needed infrastructure projects in parts of the country for enhanced socio-economic development. This followed the consideration of several memoranda and reports presented by ministries, departments and agencies. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu again has the report.
Two of the memoranda submitted by Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola includes the one seeking approval for the augmentation of the Bordeaux-Boni Road and Bridge contract sum by 79.3 billion naira.
199.923 billion naira is now the total revised contract sum, and Council approved. Major highlights of the augmentation was to revise the prices, which were based on 2002 prices when it was awarded. The component of the project itself is 3 main large bridges over the Afa Creek, the Opobo Channel, and the Nanabie Creek. And then there are 10 mini bridges and about 24 kilometers of road network. And this is in Rivers State.
The council approved for the purchase of Kanti Towers, which is located at 35 Adetukumba Demola Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, for the new headquarters of Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, which is NIMASA, in the sum of 17,471,005,130 naira 54 kobo, inclusive of 7.5% tax.
The council also ratified the emergency procurement on the repairs of 32 federal routes carried out in Lagos State between 2017 and 2019, worth 7.28 billion naira. On his part, the presidential media advisor, Femi Adesina, announced the council's approval of ecological fund projects for the third and fourth quarters of last year.
There are soil erosion and flood control and pollution control intervention projects. The total sum of these contracts is 16,041,101,334.79.
The projects are located in all the 6 geopolitical zones of the country.
Then there was approval for the revised estimate total cost on the contract for the construction of Damaturu, Gashua, Nguru, 132 kVA double circuit transmission line for the Transmission Company of Nigeria.
During the high-level engagement, the report on the 9th meeting of the National Council on Lands, Housing and Urban Development held in Plateau State was received by the Council. The meeting had as its theme, Housing Delivery in the COVID-19 era and beyond. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The judicious implementation of the 2021 supplementary budget will provide the renewed force needed to address Nigeria's security and health challenges, especially the COVID-19 scourge. This resonated on the floor of the Senate during the consideration of the 2021 supplementary budget of 982.7 billion naira. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo has that.
On the 23rd of June 2021, the Senate debated on the general principles of the 2021 supplementary budget. That same day, the bill was passed for second reading and referred to the Senate Committee on Appropriations. 2 weeks after, the Senate Committee on Appropriations has concluded work on the money bill, presented it at plenary, and the Senate has passed the bill. The amount increased by 86.8 billion as a result of some security agencies that were underfunded or not even provided for in the supplementary budget.
Like the Nigerian Navy, the Ministry of Police Affairs, Defense Intelligence Agency, Department of State Security Services, and Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
We should continue with funding of our security agencies in 2022 appropriation bill because we have to overcome the security challenges our country faces.
Senate approved external borrowing of $6.183 billion for funding of part of the 2021 budget deficit.
It's not a new borrowing as such. It is exactly what we recommended in that budget that we are actually exercising here.
Thereafter, higher institutions establishment bills took the center stage as the University of Maritime Studies Oron Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Ayo Eyakenyi, Institute of Information and Communication Technology Ogoja Establishment Bill by Senator Stephen Ode, the Psychiatric Hospital Act Amendment Bill by Senator Ibrahim Oloriegbe, and the Federal Capital Territory Customary Court Act Amendment Bill, sponsored by Senator Opayemi Bamidele, were passed. The Federal Orthopedic Hospital, Lafia Jikwara State Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Sadiq Umar, the Explosives Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill by Senator Umaru Tanko Almakura, and the Recovery of Premises Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill, sponsored by Senator Stephen Ode, passed second reading.
Many Nigerian communities suffer from severe pains of the bones and other related ailments due to a distance between the communities and tertiary health care institutions.
So they need to spread automatic hospitals, even if it is on a smaller scale, around the whole country.
For importers and suppliers to obtain authorization for explosives before these are sold to end users.
With this innovation, investors' confidence will be rekindled to venture into the housing sector in order to solve the housing deficit problem bedeviling our nation.
Senator Binos Yero's bill for the establishment of Federal University of Education, Newman, Adamawa State, and the Institute of Information and Communication Technology, Iwo, Osun State, by Senator Adeyemi Oloriowo, also passed second reading. Senate has adjourned plenary to Tuesday, the 13th of July, 2021, from the National Assembly. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, has been formally decorated with his new rank. The decoration ceremony, which preceded the meeting of the Federal Executive Council, was performed by President Muhammadu Buhari. State House correspondent Adam Musambo reports.
The decoration of the new army chief with his new rank by President Muhammadu Buhari, assisted by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, followed the confirmation of his appointment by the National Assembly. Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya was appointed Chief of Army Staff on the 27th of May this year to succeed the late Army Chief, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru. Holder of Bachelor of Arts in History and Masters in International Affairs and Diplomacy, the new Army Chief from Bodinga local government area of Sokoto State was commissioned as a lieutenant in 1990 and rose to become Major General in the Nigerian Army in the year 2017. President Muhammadu Buhari did not speak at the brief ceremony, but the Minister of Defense, Bashir Magashi, told NTA News that the new Army Chief is not unmindful of the high expectations from him.
The President has already talked to us how he wants us to operate. Like every other chief, his mandate is to bring an end to this banditry, kidnapping, and the Boko Haram issue. Nigeria will not allow this kind of nonsense to be happening. We won't take on anybody who is carrying arms, and that is the truth about it. I don't think there is anything wrong to get rid of your enemy if he wants to get rid of you. And that's what the President is saying. You cannot hold a weapon and be allowed to stay alive.
Also speaking to newsmen, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya was emphatic that everything will be done within the limits of the law to justify the trust and confidence reposed in him by the President.
I want to pledge my unalloyed loyalty on behalf of officers and men of the Nigerian Army, and also continue to do our very best to arrest these challenges we have, particularly insurgency, insecurity, and other violent crimes. We are already getting successes. We will leverage on that, including our experience in this job, and by the grace of God, we shall get there. But,
what message do you have to the bandits and other criminal elements undermining national security and stability? The president said they will be treated in the language they understand.
That's what we have started doing already, and many of them have been sent to God to go and answer for their crimes. We'll continue to do that.
Before his appointment as Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, a highly decorated officer, was the commander, Theater Command Headquarters, Operation Hiding Kai, fighting terrorism and insurgency in Nigeria's northeast. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And we'll say congratulations to him. Now, security is everybody's business, but for the National Security Advisor, it is a way of life. Marrying concept to actuality has necessitated a proactive development of a management doctrine by his office to respond to the exigencies of the moment. The implementation of the key component of the strategy, which requires a multi-agency collaborative approach, brought about a simulation exercise conducted in Abuja. And Calvin Urunaye reports.
It is a drill, a multi-agency counter-terrorism response simulation at the Moshood Abiola Stadium. As terrorists shift focus to soft targets like markets, churches, and other public places, security agencies are preparing for eventualities. When a terrorist attack occurs in a crowded place like a stadium, the impact is usually huge. The panic and stampede may come with high casualties. How security agencies will respond, starting from the Control Incident Center coordination, timing, evacuation and treatment of injured persons, were practiced in an operation codenamed Idaun Konkon, meaning quick response.
You can see the response of all the MDAs here. We have each one doing what they are supposed to do in line with the doctrine. It's so beautiful.
It's helped develop the medical SOP, and we've done the same for assault forces, counter ID, and K9. So those, and there are lots of other things.
Assisting the various MDAs with critical training that's going to help Nigeria in their time of crisis.
For a metro train station attacked with a chemical weapon, a response procedure was simulated at the Idu metro station in Abuja, underlining the importance of inter-agencies collaboration in counter-terrorism operations. Officials who observed the simulation are optimistic that with fine-tuning, the standard operating procedures will be ready to be replicated at local and state levels in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
In another development, the Northeast Governors Forum has hailed President Muhammadu Buhari and the Nigerian security agencies for the general improvement of security in the region and sued for continuous collaboration to sustain the gains. This is contained in a 10-point communique issued at the end of its meeting held in Jalingo. Joseph Zanagambo was there.
The 8-point communique raised concerns on the impact of insurgency and banditry to the socio-economic lives of the people in the Northeast region and some parts of the country. On the issue of illicit substance intake and drug abuse, the forum frowned at its impact, which fuels insurgency and other criminalities, and calls for more enforcement to stem the tide of the menace. The Governors Forum therefore commended federal government's commitment in the fight against insurgency and called for the support of the diplomatic community, partners and donor agencies. They also commended activities of the Northeast Development Commission and the good works of the Rural Electrification Agency and the need for justifiable spread of projects across the region, as well as deliberate efforts in the actualization of the Mambila Hydroelectric Power Project. The forum, which is the 5th in the series, had in attendance the governors of Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Taraba and Yobe states, chaired by Governor Babagana Umara Zulum of Borno State. Abdul Malik Hassan, NTA News.
That was actually Abdul Malik Hassan's report, not that of Joseph Zanagambo. Now, the Southwest Governors Forum and federal lawmakers from the region have agreed to constitute a high-powered committee to harmonize the position of the zone on the ongoing constitutional amendment by the two houses of the National Assembly. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that this was during an elaborate meeting of political leaders from the zone in Abuja.
The meeting, which had in attendance 6 governors from the zone and a sizable number of federal legislators, deliberated on burning issues in connection with constitutional review.
We are resolved that we will present a common position as regards amendments to constitution. And in order to achieve this meeting has set up a committee. The committee made up of distinguished senators led by the caucus chairman and attorneys of the Southwest state. The committee is to harmonize our position so that we can present it as and when necessary before the two houses, and at the end of the day have the constitutional amendment have a serious input as we take it.
The meeting also discussed the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill and other national issues crucial to the development of the region. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
And an end appears to be in sight for the travels of Nigerians during business in Ghana. Head of the legislature of Ghana and Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, was at the House of Representatives. His address to the Nigerian lawmakers dwelled on the shared history of both countries and the Ghanaian Act of Parliament on Trade, which has become a bitter pill. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
For several decades, Nigerians have been engaged in different trading activities in Ghana and vice versa. But the full implementation of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center Act became a major challenge for Nigerians doing business in that country. The new law imposed $1 million registration fee on foreign traders. The Speaker of the Ghanaian Parliament, while addressing Nigeria's House of Representatives, described the said law as an impasse as it led to the closure of shops belonging to foreigners. This visit by the Ghanaian delegation is a determination of commitment to address the concerns of Nigerians.
I am here just to help bring finality to the impasse. I pledge my commitment and that of the Parliament of Ghana to contribute in every way possible to end the impasse between traders of our two sister countries.
House Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila said parliamentary diplomacy is of essence.
Here in furtherance of securing the relationship and the bond between the two companies through Parliament.
In the meantime, the House during plenary Wednesday considered and adopted the report of the House Committee on Appropriations on the 2021 supplementary budget and the budget of the Nigeria Police Trust Fund from House Committee on Police Affairs. Other features at plenary was the second reading of 3 bills, including the bill to amend the Electric Power Sector Reform Act, which seeks reservation of 5% of revenue of power generating companies for host communities.
For the development of their host communities. If this is granted, Mr. Speaker, the host communities will also enjoy what the oil communities will be enjoying as contained in the PIB.
The House has urged authorities to take measures towards preventing the spread of cholera in parts of Kano State.
Direct the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and National Primary Healthcare Development Agency to immediately mobilize their manpower and resources to the affected communities.
From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Time for us to take a short break now. When we return, giving the gravel more grease. Correspondent on solution to delay in the dispensation of justice, and good news from the High Court for a former minister, plus the Igara Road project. What is bumpy or what is smooth in the project that has generated many comments? Please stay with us.
Pension fund administrator, we soft, make sense, we care for me. Shy, no be the time when story go enter the matter when it's time to deliver. Oh no, 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 no. The brand is sure them no go stress you. Call them then they accessible. Yes, customer care where they on point. You no go regret when you try, of course. Profitable investment, everything is just a blend. If you want what's good for you, my guy, make you choose premium pension today. Make that switch to premium pension. Premium pension. Make that switch to premium pension.
Join over 700,000 satisfied members and enjoy the premium experience at our offices across the 36 states in Nigeria, including the FCT. Call 094615-700-704 to make the switch today. Premium pension. Active today, premium tomorrow.
Enjoy faster connectivity and amazing discounts in the Airtel HBB seasonal offer. Get a MiFi for 9,999 Naira plus up to 55 GB data, or a router for 19,999 Naira plus up to 160 GB data. Offer valid while stock lasts. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband by
Airtel, the smartphone network. Hands, whether they belong to the young or old, Christian or Muslim, no matter who you are, your hands are powerful. To stop the spread of COVID-19. H. Have your hands washed or sanitized frequently. A. Always cough or sneeze into your elbow. N. No going out without a face mask. D. Distance of at least 2 arms length should be maintained. S. Stay indoors and self-isolate if you feel sick. Hands.
The National Pension Commission PENCOM is pleased to inform all its stakeholders, particularly retirees of Treasury-funded federal ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, that His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, has approved payment of some outstanding pension liabilities of the federal government under the Contributory Pension Scheme. Specifically, the President has approved payment of outstanding accrued pension rights for verified and enrolled retirees of Treasury-funded MDAs that are yet to be paid their retirement benefits, as well as the backlog of death benefit claims due to beneficiaries of deceased employees of Treasury-funded MDAs. Payment of 2.5% differential in the rate of employer pension contribution for federal government retirees and employees, which resulted from the increase in the minimum pension contribution for employers from 7.5% to 10%. Payment would take effect from July 2014. The board and management of PENCOM appreciates His Excellency Mr. President. Announcer, the board and management of National Pension Commission PENCOM.
I am with you at every stage of your life, providing comfort when you are keeping fit, comfort when you are expecting your bundle of joy, comfort during motherhood, comfort in your office, comfort in your car, comfort when sharing a meal, comfort at bedtime. From cradle to grey, there's comfort for you with Vitafoam. Quality is vital. Quality is Vitafoam. Vitafoam, the fine art of living.
Please keep an eye on them.
Oh, that's all right.
Uncle Paul, look! I want to be a pilot when I grow up.
That's good. I've always wanted to be friends with a pilot.
Uncle Paul, what's your job?
I help people understand things.
Like a teacher?
Almost. I help explain to mummies and daddies what they can do with their money.
I help people build stuff. And I'm always there when they are happy and when they are sad. I help people grow all kinds of things.
You're a farmer!
Not quite. I help people keep and grow their money so later they come back when it's bigger for themselves.
You're a magician!
Just like a pilot, I help people move from where they are to where they want to be.
Thank you, Uncle.
Pilot.
ARM. Invested in your tomorrow.
Oh God, Greg, you want to buy cough medicine again? Why haven't you gone for a test like I advised?
Test? So that the hospital people will say I have COVID-19? No.
How about Greg? Not all coughs mean you have COVID-19. COVID-19 cough and symptoms are different from other illnesses like tuberculosis.
Solomon, why don't you ever stay at your post? Why?
This your cough. You need to check Amo. When I had a bad cough, Madam told me to go for tuberculosis test. After the cough syrups didn't work, they discovered I had tuberculosis. After the free test, I was even treated for free. Now I'm fine.
Solomon is right. Oga Greg, check Amo. Make you dey sure. Because who no go, no go, no.
Check that cough for tuberculosis.
If your cough is more than 2 weeks, it could be tuberculosis. TB tests and TB treatment are free. Just call the National TB Hotline on 3340 for information on where to get the test. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Health with support from the American people.
Thanks so much for staying with us. An advocacy on the amendment of the Constitution for the establishment of special courts to take care of electoral matters is underway. Some legal practitioners who are leading the advocacy are of the view that this will assist in the country's quest for quick dispensation of justice. Dele Atumbi of our Judiciary Desk has more.
The axiom that says justice delayed is justice denied is prompting concerned legal practitioners to advocate the creation of special courts to adjudicate on electoral matters in the ongoing fifth alteration of the Constitution. The legal practitioners are of the opinion that the removal of electoral matters from the regular courts list will give the courts the opportunity to concentrate on both civil and criminal matters. They assert that electoral matters alone, from its pre-election to complete adjudication, take up to 2 years. This development, the legal practitioners say, delays adjudication on other civil and criminal matters.
So what we have is that for about a period of 1.5 years to 2 years in the electoral cycle of 4 years, the courts are burdened with determining electoral cases.
Election matters are sui generis. If they are sui generis to the fact they are, then they should be done in their own way, in a peculiar manner, wherein there are justices within space, with pace. Those days one will stay in for 4 years and his case is still ongoing. But now we are sure if we want 180 days, it will determine.
They also canvass the enforcement of timelines for the determination of matters at all levels of courts.
We have to amend the Constitution to create special courts for electoral cases.
But the problem we have is not this issue of spelling out this court or that court or this or that day. Lawyers themselves sometimes are not ready to take this challenge bull by the horn.
They see the establishment of electoral high courts, electoral appeals court, and electoral Supreme Court as a solution to delay in the attainment of quick dispensation of justice in Nigeria. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Let's take you to Lagos now, where the Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry on restitution of victims of SARS and other police human rights violations still has pending cases, despite a 3-month extension of its initial timeline. So far, the process has administered justice to some petitioners, with others still trying to prove police actions were unfair to them. Jennifer Igwe has an update.
To address the many cases of alleged police brutality, the Lagos State Judicial Panel on Restitution for Victims of SARS-related abuses and other matters was created. 200 petitions were submitted. So far, one by one, 113 have been heard.
To unload 3 dead bodies in a locked bus.
Proven cases was and is still pertinent. So although some petitioners had touchy stories, under cross-examinations by legal counsels, they were left hanging. Some petitioners backed down and withdrew their cases because series of events had overtaken their matters, while a few others were struck out by the panel because of unseriousness and lack of due process. Those who have successfully proved their cases have received financial compensations and apologies.
As a case of, I think like 2-3 persons received 10 million involving cases of death. There was one 7.5 million, there was another 5 million, then a million, 750,000, 500,000. The panel has also been very open, transparent.
Actually, there are people who have justiciable matters, and there are people who also feel that this matter, they are just coming here just because the panel is set up, and they just felt that, let me try our luck.
The judicial panel is still ongoing. On this day, for instance, 8 cases were heard. 1 was struck out, 1 adjourned sine die, and 6 others were scheduled for adoption of final written addresses for 16th and 13th of July 2021. The panel started its sitting and it was to end May 2021, but had 3 months extension. Now, 19th of July is the expected end of the 3 months extension. Will there be another? Now that's something we'll have to find out. In Lagos, Jennifer Igwe, NTA News.
Thank you, Jennifer. Now, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has ruled that former Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, was ineligible for national service as at the time of her graduation. The court, presided over by Justice Taiwo, ruled that the ministerial appointment of Kemi Adeosun was not illegal, neither was it unconstitutional, even without presenting the NYSC certificate. The court maintained that Adeosun was not supposed to present herself for National Youth Service because under the 1979 Constitution, which was in force at the time of her graduation, she was not a Nigerian citizen, either at the time of her graduation or when she turned 30. The Federal High Court asserted that the Constitution did not require her to present her first-degree certificate or any other certificate, including the NYSC certificate, to be appointed a minister. The court said since the 1979 Constitution, which was in force at the time, did not recognize dual citizenship, Adeosun could not have served because she was a British citizen. Adeosun graduated from the University of East London in 1989 at the age of 22. The court ruled that Nigeria's citizenship only reverted on the extant Constitution, by which time Adeosun was well above 30, and by the court ruling ineligible to participate in NYSC scheme, as the scheme is exclusively reserved for Nigeria. In the meantime, the need for citizens to take ownership of government projects cited in their areas and speak out when things are not done properly is one of the virtues that will compel leaders to be accountable. This played out in Igara, Akuru, Edo local government area of Edo State, where the video of a young man crying out loud over a poor road construction in his community went viral. Victor Odion Acha took a trip to Igara town to verify this claim and came back with these findings.
On Sunday, the 4th of July 2021, a video of a young man identified as Alaba Lawani drawing attention to the poor handling of a road project attracted to the area by the Deputy Leader of House of Representatives, Peter Akpatasi, went viral as many Nigerians condemned the contractor of the project. This NTA took up and visited the community to ascertain the reality on ground. Arriving in Igara, the headquarters of Akukwedo local government area, none of the workers nor construction equipment were on the site, but associates of the lawmaker who attracted the project to the area were seen inspecting the job. It was observed that the drainage work does not have rods for reinforcement with a poor flooring. I hit the walls of the drainage, which shows a poor quality of job. The entire road does not have stone base before asphalting was carried out, as parts of the work done few days ago have already failed.
Well, I don't know the contractor, but the man, our reps, who attracted this project down here, meant well.
At the very initial time, I always let them know that this place is a road that is permanent, and any work they want to do here, it should be a work that will promote their work tomorrow.
When they were working on it, the weather was not favorable. So, on that note, they have marked it out for resurfacing.
The video maker Alabala Wani, who is an architect, insists that the best is what they desire.
As a contractor, there are some brief that will be given to you and you reject it to save your image. I want people to follow standard.
Responding in a telephone call, the supervisor of the company, Royal Jeff Nigeria Limited, said the specification of the job is 1.3 kilometers with 300 meters to be asphalted and 200 meters drain system in the first phase, saying that the bill of engineering measurements and evaluation for the project does not carry reinforcement. Hence, he made the drainage a V-shape, added that the asphalt failed as a result of the rain that fell while construction was on.
Yes, sir. The BOQ does not carry reinforcement, and that is, it doesn't carry any iron.
The facilitator and deputy leader of the House of Representatives, Peter Akpatasi, has already written to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, the agency that awarded the project, to investigate the allegations. In reaction to this development, the Edo State government has visited the site where the Deputy Governor, Philip Shuaibu, announced the immediate takeover of the project by the Edo State government and also ordered that the sponsor of the project and the contractor handling it be investigated.
I've revoked this job. The MD of C4 is here. He's going to take this job, this road over, and Edo State government will reconstruct this road immediately. We are the one that have set a standard for ourselves. And any federal agency or any constituency project that does not meet our standard will not be accepted in Edo State.
Meanwhile, operatives of the EFCC and ICPC have visited the project sites for their investigations. In Igara, I am Victor Odion Acha, NTA News.
Thank you, Victor. Now, the stability of internal party structure is the cornerstone for sustainable democratic growth and subsequent maturity through a process that is liberal and inclusive. This defines stakeholders' perception on the integral role internal party democracy plays in strengthening democratic leadership during NTA program Tuesday Live. Abakar Usman Akwanga reports.
The world over, internal party democracy largely contributes to the survival of any democratic system, with priority to citizens' participation and inclusive political culture for party members.
Anybody who is willing to contest, as long as you have fulfilled all the righteousness to contest, you should be allowed. And that is the beginning of the democracy. Even when the parties, that's why I always say, Mr. President, honestly, no matter what anybody says, he has been proponent of, look, let the people decide. Give the people of the country the honor and dignity in choosing who their leaders will be.
Stakeholders argued that the lack of these tenets could undermine the strength and credibility of any political system, and called on political parties and other key players to imbibe the universal values.
The members of a political party should have a say in the selection of their leaders and in the selection of candidates for elective offices. And that the will of a few or the leaders or the oligarchies within the party should not prevail over and above that of the members.
When there was insurrection in the U.S., you remember what Hillary said when she lent her support to dealing with those people? She said democracy is fragile. That is the first time I'm hearing it. It's fragile because it's built on tight need checks and balances. And where one falters, the rest will dissolve.
As conversation platforms like these continue to push for the strengthening of the global political culture, stakeholders believe inclusiveness and democracy should remain key in the affairs of political parties. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Now, what key enablers must be addressed to make the civil service in Nigeria world-class? Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation is engaging stakeholders to provide answers towards enhancing service delivery. Ekene Ndulue reports.
A review of the Federal Civil Service Strategic Implementation Plan for 2017 to 2020 identified some challenges that affected optimum performance in the civil service. Gathered in this hall are heads of federal government agencies. Their role in this engagement is to identify those policies that have not worked optimally and suggest way forward.
So the issue of housing, if you look at it critically, it has not succeeded because workers cannot, easily get houses from this scheme.
The take-home pay of an average worker in the public service and the discrepancy in salaries between what is given to the public servants and some other establishments. There is only one market, we should know that.
Organizers say the successor plan from 2021 to 2025 will factor in recommendations from this forum for improved service delivery.
A committee on harmonization of salaries has been set up by the federal government and they are still working.
The forum also agreed that performance management, innovation, and capacity building must be adopted by all organizations for optimum performance. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulue, NTA News.
He may no longer be alive, but his legacies continue to serve as reference points to those whom he impacted while living. Late Professor Saad Abubakar, a renowned Nigerian professor of history from the Ahmadu Bello University, is today honored with a book, A Fresh Rift, by prominent Nigerians. Charles Alpha reports.
Call it all professors' affairs. You will not be wrong. This is because each of them, now a doctor and professor in various schools of thought, was mentored and had careers shaped by late Professor Saad Abubakar, who died a few years ago.
We in History Department, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, have been proud of him because he produced the first PhD in Ahmadu Bello University.
By every standard, Professor Saad Abubakar was a man of many seasons, especially in the academia, politics, administration.
The book, a first script, made up of 49 chapters and 802 pages, was launched in loving memory of the professor by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, represented former governors and ministers in Abuja to celebrate the exceptional contributions of the erudite scholar to education, documentation of history, and leadership.
On behalf of the presenter and the chief lecturer, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, that in view of all the comments that have been made by the publishers of the book, the Odiri agreed that the two of them will have to agree on the amount of 10 copies.
Late Professor Saad Abubakar was the author of the highly rated book titled Lamibe Fobina. His lifestyle and leadership quality remain a standard. In Abuja, Charles Alpha, NTA News.
In the next segment of the news, Benue farmers bemoan rotten luck as bumper harvests go to waste. While in Kano, farmers get custody of their most important partner. In progress. Well, that's it. And then let's go on the break. We'll be right back.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning, getting set for another day. Another chance to change my story. I believe in my hustle. I know be lazy person. But life is just a knock big basketballs. If it don't close, I go find another. If I fall down, I go try to recover. If it ever walk me, I know they bother. Cause I believe, say, I go show
brings. We move. Turn up your dreams. MTN, everywhere you go.
Like every mother, I'm worried about dangerous insects, especially mosquitoes, which spread diseases like malaria to my loved ones. This year, I'm not afraid. I'm using new Mortein Insta-Kill. New Mortein Insta-Kill's improved formulation knocks down mosquitoes 2 times faster. Not even a single mosquito is spared because even one mosquito bite can cause malaria. Mortein Insta knocks down mosquitoes 2 times faster.
Capri-Sun Funland. Can't wait. Hey!
Entry denied. No artificial colors, no artificial sweeteners, no preservatives. Nothing artificial.
Next up, the water slide.
Nothing artificial and great taste. Capri-Sun, the taste of fun. Capri-Sun, a product of Cheer Limited.
Like a bird needs wings to fly, you need skills to be productive. No matter the level of your education, ITF can train you to acquire skills in areas like mechatronics, metal machining, facility technology, electronics and computer networking, information and communication technology, ICT, culinary art, and agriculture. Acquire a skill and transform yourself from being unemployed to becoming even an employer. Be a valuable Nigerian youth. Say no to unemployment and poverty.
I'll spread my wings and fly so high. I'll reach for the stars, yeah, it's time.
Industrial Training Fund, developing the nation's human resource.
Welcome back. Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC, partners Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, to maximize energy resources as investors gain 43.4 billion naira at the close of trading in the equities markets. Let's join Musa Abakar for more on business news. Musa, it's over to you.
Thank you, Fatima. The Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC, is deepening partnership with the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, to drive government's agenda of maximizing the nation's energy resources. This meeting was an avenue to identify common areas of interest in diversifying the Nigerian economy away from oil and create job opportunities to cater to the needs of the unemployed. The global petrochemical industry,
the Ministry of Petroleum and its respective MDAs, especially NNPC, were identified and tasked with the responsibility of one, developing sectoral policies to accelerate growth in production within key sectors such as petrochemicals, methanol, nitrogenous fertilizer, and ammonia.
the petrochemical industry is a $150 billion annual market, and Nigeria is yet to take a firm position in the market. The zero-based plan is conceived to, among other things, turn around the sector for profitability. Now, the Wages and Measures Department of the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment is of the view that if granted the status of an agency, the department can rake in more revenue for the federal government in addition to ensuring production of quality products and accurate measurement. To this end, the department is implementing a 5-year strategic action plan.
A single state like Ogun generates up to about 90 to 100 million.
The machinery is placed on ground to see how the department will be moved and developed within this framework of the strategic action plan.
The equities market closed Wednesday trading session in a positive territory. The all-share index climbed 0.22% to close 38,501.31 basis points, and market capitalization at 20.07 trillion naira. 296 million shares valued at 2.5 billion naira were traded in 4,507 deals. FBN Holdings, Access Bank, and Zenith Bank were the most traded shares. That concludes business news. It's back to you, Fatima.
Thank you so much, Musa. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of Dr. Adamu Mohamed Abdul Hamid as the new Nigeria's ambassador to the World Trade Organization, WTO, Geneva, Switzerland, for a period of 4 years. In a statement from the Office of the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, to the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, the President urged the new ambassador to cooperate with the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, members of the WTO and other international organizations to reposition Nigeria's trade in the global map. Until his appointment, Dr. Abdul Hamid was the acting head of Nigeria Trade Office to the WTO Geneva, Switzerland. He was also Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala's campaign coordinator in Geneva, Switzerland, which led to her emergence as the Director General of the WTO. Nigeria is topping the Global Normalcy Index chart for Africa after the devastation by the COVID-19 pandemic, as indicated by the economics report, which shows, I'll take that again, which shows that normalcy is beginning to return to many countries in the world. Moplan Dakok was there and has the report.
It's getting normal again after the coronavirus pandemic in early 2020 held the world captive, making many to wonder if life will return to normal. It is therefore not surprising when the Global Normalcy Index by The Economist, which covered 50 of the world's largest economies that together account for 90% of global GDP, suggests that the world has traveled roughly half of the way back to pre-pandemic levels. Indicators such as traffic congestion and time spent outside have recovered faster than others, particularly sports attendance and flights. In Africa, Nigeria is topping the list on the Normalcy Index based on the proactiveness of government in curbing the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. South Africa has fallen the most after it announced new restrictions to quell a surge in infections. The report added that while activity is not back to normal in any of the countries tracked, Hong Kong and New Zealand are the two places that have implemented effective measures against the coronavirus and suffered relatively fewer deaths. Malaysia sits at the bottom of the pack due to the devastation it suffered. Moplang Dakok, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Buhari Media Organization says Nigeria's top 5 ranking in the Global Normalcy Index is a clear evidence of the success of the COVID-19 preventive measures introduced by the federal government, as well as the cooperation of the Nigerian masses. In a statement, the organization says the index produced by The Economist magazine is a major endorsement of the proactive measures conceptualized and enforced by the federal government to stem the tide of the pandemic in the country. According to the group, what makes the ranking a thing to celebrate is the fact that Hong Kong and New Zealand, which are the top 2 countries on the index, are island nations with populations of 7 and 5 million respectively, as well as having better infrastructure compared to a developing country like Nigeria with a population of excess of 200 million. And agriculture, we all know, plays a crucial role in the economic diversification roadmap of the federal government. The present administration says it is willing to partner with the Republic of Belarus towards achieving mechanization of the sector as well as growth of Nigeria's digital economy. Secretary to the government of the Federation, Bas Mustafa, stated this when he received the ambassador of Belarus in Nigeria in Abuja here. Tariq Bank reports.
Diplomatic relations between Nigeria and Belarus were established in 1992, and both countries have maintained close ties in the areas of trade, education, and military cooperation. Last year alone, the volume of trade between both countries was valued at $8.5 million, but Nigeria seeks to attract more of Belarusian investments and expertise in agri mechanization and entrepreneurship.
You stand out in terms of your development in the agri field, in terms of machinery, in terms of innovations. We are an oil-dependent country, but we can strongly drive the diversification of our economy, particularly in the service sector. And ICT stands out as an area where we can partner.
We see opportunities.
Belarus acknowledges Nigeria's progress in agriculture and believes more can be done to boost the sector.
We can produce up to 60,000 tractors in different modifications annually based on the requirements. And this is one of our main focus in Nigeria right now.
The two countries express commitment towards expanding existing relations. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
In another development, farmers and dealers of perishable food items have appealed to industrialists and investors to complement government's effort by establishing processing industries to save them from the nightmares of post-harvest losses. And we have Solomon reports that the appeal is due to the high volume of such losses being experienced.
Post-harvest losses can be caused by a variety of factors ranging from growing conditions to handling at retail level, which amount to losses. These losses usually come in form of handling injuries and infectious diseases. Losses directly attributed to transport can be high, particularly during the process of conveyance occasioned by deplorable roads and poor storage facilities. At the retail marketing stage, losses occur at the arrival of supplies in market, while older stock are discarded or sold at very low price.
As a seller, we do have a lot of loss because we lack materials to preserve this. Sometimes we went to the bush to buy, and when we buy, at the process of looking for car or the means to transport it to the town, we may be looking for cars, motors hereabouts. Before you know it, the one we heap on the ground is rotting.
Rotiwama, nobody they buy. As in the complaint say no money, no money. Would they buy a course? We know they see any person buying where so that we might go say chop as money no day.
With yearly post-harvest losses, farmers are praying for the establishment of cottage industries for the processing of farm produce into finished products. Deputy Director Research and Collaboration, Center for Food, Technology and Research, CEFTA, Makudi, Sylvester Adejo says, students within the country and abroad converge on the Benue State University to learn and to put to practice the process of packaging some of the farm produce for consumption.
The one thing you have to understand is that if you are selling something raw, you hardly have the market. But if it is processed, the value is enhanced. So with all those little things, the equipment we have, even drying of fish, peppers and all these things, there are various researches going on.
This, the State Coordinator, Rural Access and Agricultural Marketing Projects, RAAM, Mone Ayeni, says the project is coordinating facilities to assist farmers in managing post-harvest losses.
The project is looking at creating access or maintaining already existing ones so that people can pass freely, either go in and buy or bring out and sell. Now we are looking at creating what we term as agro-logistics hubs or big markets in some key areas where farmers can converge and do their sales.
He further says more farmers will be engaged to enable them access the small-scale processing technology available at the institution. In Makudi, Iverin Solomon, NTA.
Thank you, Varen Solomon. Ownership of public irrigation infrastructure by farmers is the surest way that guarantees efficiency, probity and sustainability of enhanced utilization of water resources for development purposes. This is the new thinking of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, for which it convened farmers in Kano for capacity building on ownership and management of the water facilities to be entrusted to them. Yohana Sahasambaro reports.
Water is life.
but many at times a source of destructive disaster due to poor management of available water resources. Ibrahim Ya'u is among the many farmers in Kano who are into all year-round production. This, according to him, is as a result of the availability of one of the critical resources, water. He cultivates vegetables and cereals to meet his family needs.
Nigeria will surely be able to feed itself. This I assure you.
He is, however, challenged by the destruction of the irrigation facilities around by some water users. This challenge faced by Ya'u and his counterparts necessitated the transformation of irrigation management under the river irrigation scheme in tune with efficient global best practices. As a result, this group of farmers were drawn from across Kano to acquaint them with the requisite knowledge of farming and treasury single account operations.
We want to reduce the expenses of government in our farming process so that the farmers will take the responsibility. And when you have it all year round, where you can cultivate 2 to 3 times in a year, you can see the benefits. So we are working holistically to ensure that the practice has come to stay.
With these efforts put together, Nigeria will in the near future be able to utilize the more than 3 million hectares of irrigable land, thereby grants the dream of the likes of Ya'u, who hopes to produce excess for export to international markets. The initiative of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources that aims at changing the narrative and in the process changing the destiny of crop farmers and other water users by making them owners of the developed water infrastructure is a step forward towards ensuring job creation and food sufficiency in the country. In Kano, Yahana Sahasambaro, NTA News.
And UNESCO is looking forward to renewing partnership with the Nigerian government on developmental issues, including water resources management. It is a decision both parties are committed to. As the Nigerian permanent representative to UNESCO visited Water Resources Ministry in Abuja, Musbauda Wahab has that.
Dr. Hajo Sani is the new Nigerian permanent representative to UNESCO, set to fully resume her diplomatic mission in Paris. But before leaving, she is beginning a charity from home, arming herself with relevant information about developmental programs of Nigeria's government for possible areas of collaboration and improved partnership. On this visit to the Water Resources Ministry, she expresses the inclination of UNESCO to expand scope of partnership with the country, particularly the project to save Lake Chad from extinction of the attendant security challenges which are also of concern to Nigeria.
This is one area we feel that we can look at and see what we can kickstart, something that will benefit not only Nigeria but the whole of Lake Chad countries, as well as to make UNESCO to understand that we are there, the program is there, and it will attract their attention to come and do something meaningful.
It is a partnership much wanted and found as Water Resources Minister Suleiman Adamu updates the permanent representative on the efforts so far made by the riparian countries and the commitments of the African Union, African Development Bank, leading to preparation for the inter-basin water transfer from Congo River to the Lake Chad.
We set out with 2 objectives. Number one, we wanted an international consensus that Lake Chad should not be allowed to go extinct, that is for it to dry up.
Yeah.
Number 2, to get an international consensus that we need to replenish the lake through the interbasin water transfer project. And both objectives were achieved by that conference.
Before these appointments, Dr. Hajo Sani was the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Women Affairs and Administration Office of the First Lady of Nigeria. In Abuja, Musbau and Wahab, NC News.
Federal government has gone a step further to improve the performance of the National Social Investment Program with the training of independent monitors on Social Investment Management Information System. Ekemeren Kaneng Kaladoja has an update on the training in Jos.
Statistics has it that 43% of Nigerians live below poverty line, and so the Nigerian government put in several measures in place, such as the National Social Investment Program to lift Nigerians out of poverty. To ensure the program is effectively implemented nationwide, the Social Investment Management Information System, a mobile and web application designed to improve performance by tracking results of independent monitors on field, has been launched, with Plateau State engaging monitors and giving them the devices to enable them monitor effectively.
I wish to call on the independent monitors and all assembly to ensure that there is effective implementation of all the components of NSIP in the state. Monitoring and reporting your activities is a big but important responsibility, which you must take with all seriousness.
While giving the independent monitors their scope of duties, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development represented said they must provide evidence-based reports. The independent monitors are also to ensure routine monitoring of all programs under the National Social Investment Program in their assigned local government areas, submit various categories of reports in accordance with set timelines, with a stern warning not to assign their responsibilities to third parties.
Using this application, the ministry sees real-time report of activities of the independent monitors on the field. That means you must go out to the field. That is what that statement means. The ministry can view reports submitted and see the performance of the social investment programs in every state.
The independent monitors say they will carry out their duties diligently.
I'm very grateful for the government for giving me this opportunity. I'm going to try my best to carry out my activities, go to my primary assignment, do what is needful.
We promise that in our duty we are going to carry it diligently.
The independent monitors will be engaged for a period of 1 year. In Jos, Ekemeren Kaneng Ladoja, NTA News.
Let's take another breather now. When we return, selfless and patriotic surgeons in the theatre to save a life. Plus, a special on pedestrian bridges, not patronized by pedestrians. We'll be right back.
Compatriots, our country can be as great as we want.
Let us all commit ourselves to its greatness.
We must be willing to set aside our differences, unite and stay as one.
In our expansive landmass, human and material resources, and plurality lies our strength.
Let our challenges lead us to rediscover our common ground, and together, let's find solutions.
This will take some time, so it requires patience, tolerance, and forgiveness from every one of us.
Let all hands come on deck to protect and transform our country.
Let us unite and see each other not as adversaries, but as brothers and sisters.
Together, we can build a better Nigeria for ourselves and for the next generations.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA, with support from Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Great to have you back. President Muhammadu Buhari felicitates with former Permanent Secretary of your state, Pa Gabriel Olanipekun Abe, on his 100th birthday. A statement from the presidency acknowledged him for his pace-setting records in school and work, distinguishing himself in all his undertakings and leaving a legacy of honesty, diligence and sound administration. President Buhari prays for good health and more strength for the former Permanent Secretary. Rising above challenges of incessant face-off with government over inadequate working tools and mass exodus of their colleagues abroad, a group of surgeons at the Garki Hospital, Abuja, battled all odds to champion a free reconstructive surgery for a 3-month-old baby. Hakimat Aliyu takes us through the experience.
Mr. and Mrs. Godwin at Daudu Internally Displaced Persons Camp in Benue State. Baby Mwese was diagnosed with frontal nasal encephalocele, a rare medical condition that can only be fixed with a surgery, costing millions of naira. Tall order for her poor parents and relatives.
Get hope to support to do and the operation. So as I move around, we no get option. Just we come sit down to RTP camp. My administrator carry me go for Children's Hospital. Then we do scanning, do whatever. Then the Children's Hospital direct us to come Garaki Hospital. They say she'll bring millions. Then my sister told them that she'll not get anything.
Our role here as Garaki Hospital is to provide assistance to help this child.
The hospital and the surgical team, led by Dr. Douglas, took it upon themselves to perform a free major surgery of reconstructing baby Nwese's face.
When this baby was born, swelling was really small, but then it grew really large, isn't it? So one of the things that can happen is that if it continues to grow, it deforms the face, pushes the eyes out, pushes the nose down, so baby can have problems with in terms of function of breathing and issues with the vision and all that.
Responsibility, yeah. Giving back, like I said, giving back to society.
Many specialists are involved. It's one thing for us to have knowledge. Another thing is for facility to be able to support you. And that is exactly what are the part of the problems why a number of our colleagues want to go abroad, because you'll be able to, for self-actualization. For me, as a maxillofacial surgeon, we had an 8-hour operation here last Friday for somebody that was involved in an accident. I had multiple facial fractures. And it may interest you that this kind of case is also being planned for another 3-4 days that will still be done in this hospital.
The procedure lasted more than 8 hours, after which she was moved to the intensive care unit to recuperate. Sadly, baby Nwese gave up and died. The concern for many is a selfless gesture by these doctors who, against all odds, tried to save the baby's situation for free. The battle for baby Nwese's life, though lost, efforts of the surgeons remain fresh in the memories of the parents and others who say this will go a long way in appreciating the medical professionals in Nigeria. Hakimat Ali, NTA.
Now let's take you to Osun. Security challenge in Osun is taking a new turn despite spirited efforts by the police and other security agents to protect lives and property in the state. The development is about gruesome murder of unsuspected members of the public, particularly young women who get raped and eventually killed for suspected ritual purposes. Worrisome also is the fast eroding social values, especially respect for the sanctity of human lives. Shagun Laoli reports.
A friend brought his girlfriend to my apartment and told me he needed the head and the heart. He asked me to take other parts for my benefit, but I told him I don't want to do money ritual. After raping her, he killed the lady.
Confessional statement by one of the suspects in a gruesome murder of a 21-year-old lady in Abuja town, Osun State. One out of many such heinous crimes uncovered by the police in recent past. Crime and criminality appeared to have remained an albatross in Nigerian society, despite concerted efforts by the combined security forces to curtail them, particularly with the murder of innocent women for suspected ritual purposes.
The rate of ritual killings, rape and so on is rising. Our society has become too materialistic.
However, the police will not agree ritual killings are on the increase, but will not deny the fact that the Ikiri and Akpumu killings are recent.
It's not only in the state of Osun that we have ritual killing, and I will not say it is on the increase, because the police especially is making serious and frantic efforts to ensure that crime is nipped in the bud.
Apart from the declining moral values resulting in decadence, the act of wickedness is incontrovertible in the society today.
The people are collaborating with the security agencies. That is what we mean by community policing, where everybody is joining the security agencies to police their community.
Hunters and other ones, bring them there and hold regular meetings with them, so that when people hear anything, they quickly pass it to us.
All suspects are to appear in court after investigations are completed. Shegun Lawale, NTA News.
Every Nigerian child, according to the law, must be registered and have a name that forms his or her identity. The same goes for personal property and assets, but the truth today is that there are vehicles on Nigerian roads that are not registered. What are the implications of this? Let's join Oyinkansola Ajelade for answers on this and more.
Nigerian Highway Code, Section D, subsection 6 states that it is an offense to drive a vehicle without a valid vehicle identification mark being displayed. But today, many vehicles on the Nigerian roads, especially in Akure, are without valid identification, with attendant security implications. Many parts of Akure metropolis are dotted with car dealer outfits selling imported second-hand vehicles of various brands. It is indeed a vibrant market. The implication, however, is that many of the vehicles after purchase find their way on the road without valid registration. A drive round Akure at any time of the day shows a high number of these unregistered vehicles driven by all kinds of people, male, female, young and old. Security experts say this is very risky.
Nowadays, out of 70 vehicles, you find 65 vehicles tinted and unregistered. They will cover it. Why? Because they have criminal mandate.
Traffic enforcement and security agents in the state say they are aware of the high number of unregistered vehicles plying the roads.
In Ondo State here, the CP has made it clear and has asked the operatives to go after them. Any vehicle that is not registered and is plying the way is a problem to the people.
Collectively, what the enforcement we've done for this year has been 496. Today, but I'm sure by the time we add the month of July, we should have entered over 500. There are a lot of people using vehicles without number plates.
Security experts suggest that there should be stiffer penalties for violators, maintaining that the current sanctions are too weak to enhance deterrence.
The penalty for number plate violation is 3,000 naira. And once we do that, you pay, or release the vehicle to you.
I advise government to start arresting them. Yes, and if they arrest, they should impound the vehicle. Not even money, they should not be asking them to go and pay fine.
As Nigeria currently faces security challenges, experts suggest immediate actions to reduce the number of unlicensed vehicles on the road. In Akure, Oyinkansola Ajelade, NTA News.
Now, have you ever wondered why many Nigerians prefer to walk across the major roads instead of making use of the pedestrian bridges provided by government? Also, what do you know about zebra crossing and what you are supposed to do once you approach it? Well, the answers to these questions are in this package put together by Oyeyemi Ajayi.
Well, I've been trying to cross this road now for the past 6 minutes, but it's kind of hard, even on the zebra crossing, which is actually one that gives the pedestrian the chance, the right to move. It seems that motorists don't tend to know what the zebra crossing is all about.
Zebra crossing is not doing badly. It's good.
I don't understand about zebras passing time. I don't know.
These are actually drivers who ply Nigerian roads daily. Their viewpoints, to some extent, reflect the perception and knowledge of road signs by some road users.
There was a particular time when we asked somebody to distinguish between a solid line, that is a straight line, and a broken line, a driver, and he told us that the difference between the solid line and the broken line is that when there was money for government, they have money to buy enough paint, so they paint it straight. But now that there's not adequate money for government to use on this kind of thing, started breaking into.
To make the roads free from accidents and gridlocks, different road traffic signs are erected to guide drivers and guard commuters from avoidable accidents. For instance, the idea of traffic lights is to allow for easy flow of human and vehicular movements, but many still defy the warning signs. Unfortunately, the recklessness of these drivers have also led to untimely death of traffic control agents and sometimes innocent pedestrians.
I even support crossing the bridge. Why? Because it's more safer.
For me as a person, it's level 1. I prefer crossing here than down there. Though it's too far, but it better be late.
As they say, there is a need for much enlightenment for motorists to know the usefulness of not just the zebra crossing, but most of the road signs in different parts of the country. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
That's very, very educative for Ajayi. Now let's take sports. Badminton to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics is making a comeback after 12 years with 3 athletes set to represent Nigeria. Let's now join Oche for more on Sports Update.
Nigeria is looking to compete in 9 sporting events at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics few weeks from now. Since the nation made its debut appearance in 1952, Nigerian athletes have appeared in every edition of the Olympics except the 1976 edition in Montreal. One sport making its comeback after 12 years is badminton, where Nigeria is looking to compete in the men's double and women's singles. The duo of Anu Oluwapo Okpeyeri and Godwin Olofua will represent Nigeria in the men's double, while Dorcas Adeshokan will fly Nigeria's flag at the singles event. Despite series of postponement for qualifying events due to the coronavirus pandemic, the trio booked their place to ensure Team Nigerian Badminton is represented at the world events. How prepared are these players?
Playing at the Olympic is the best thing for me, and we have been preparing since some years now, preparing for the games, and we'll surely give our best when we get there.
I want to exploit everything that I've trained, and I want to learn more, and I want to continue to be a good ambassador and to continue to lift the flag high.
I think not to participate, but to compete. Also give my best, represent my country very well, and also in Africa.
While some of the athletes are already acclimatizing ahead of the games in Japan following the departure of the first batch of athletes, Chairman, Caretaker Committee, Badminton Federation Francis Obi says the players will give good account of themselves at the games.
So far their training has been going well. Ministry has done, the NOC also, with all the support for them to train as much as possible, and with the training they have, I give them a very good chance to go there and do well and do Nigeria proud.
The player.
Meanwhile, England is leading 2-1 in the second semi-final match, currently playing at the Wembley Stadium with the game in extra time. And winner of the match will set up a final with Italy in London on Sunday. And with that, we conclude News Extra for tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Remember, that's before I go, to be a star, connect with the NTA to wage war against rape and rapists. I am Fatima Umaruba. Enjoy the rest of your night and stay safe.
Hello and welcome. It's time for another interesting package of
Everything Music.